So, okay, but you're originally from New York. Or no, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Jersey?
Bayonne.
And then
my parents split up, and my mom was trying to raise 2 kids on 1 income. And as an immigrant, fiery woman, she wanted to take care of us the way that she wanted to take care of us, which means she had 2 jobs. And it got to her, and she already had like a brother and sister that lived in Miami, and they're like, just come here, you'll find a job. So we ended up moving down when I was 8 and a half.
What do you remember about that change, that shift?
I remember it being really hot.
Fair.
Like super hot, and it was more integrated. Like there was a lot of people from everywhere. More people spoke Spanish in South Florida, where like in Jersey at the time in the 80s, it was predominantly white. So we were called all kind of names while we were there, versus like South Florida, there was still like the hint of racism, but with your own people, you know? So I'm just like but you're me, so what's happening here? Yeah.
Do you, so when someone asks you where you're from, what do you say?
I was born in Jersey, but I was raised in Miami.
Do you feel like you're from Jersey?
I feel like the Jersey comes out somehow. And I feel like every time, and I used to go every year to visit my dad. So like all the summers we would spend with him until I was like, I'm over this, I think it was like 14 or 15. But people, like, wherever I go, they're like, are you from Jersey? Are you from New York? Are you from the North? I'm like, how do you, I don't have an accent.
You do.
I don't think, see?
Yeah. But your accent could be either. Like, well, you can tell also that you speak Spanish as well, right?
Okay.
You kind of hear that a little bit.
It's like a little.
Yeah. And you also, but that also sounds like, in a way, some of like the Jersey, New York accents too, like the Afro-Latino accent.
Right.
It's there.
Yeah.
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 But you're like, I sound like everyone else I know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't sound as Miamian, but it's still there.
No, that's when the Jersey part comes out.
Right. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So when did you start with art? When did you first realize that art was your thing?
Art happened as an accident. When I landed in Miami. At 8. My mom was part of Section 8. So we moved often. We moved like every 2 years to a new house, which means we have to shift schools. And eventually we landed in this school. I was there for maybe 2 years, and I met a girl. Her name's Emily Perez. And she became my best friend for elementary school. And she was told about this magnet program in dance. And so she told my mom, and my mom's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, let's apply. We applied and we got in for 5th grade. And I love dance. I don't have a ballet, your typical ballet body. So I'm like, this shit is not going to work.
Right.
But she loved it, and she had the body for it. So she's like, I'm going to continue for middle school. And I'm like, I want to be with you, but I can't do dance. But the only way I could go with her is through the magnet program, because we lived far from this like inner city school. So dance wasn't it, and then theater, you could read my face, so that wasn't it either.
That's the Jersey part.
Yeah. And then music was like, I can't sing, and I don't want to play the recorder anymore. Like music is not it. So the only thing left was art. Like I didn't draw or do any of this stuff. It was just like, this is the last resort. So you have to audition, and somehow I got in, and I felt like I understood the growth in art by 7th grade.
What do you mean?
When I first started, just like other kids, it was like stick figures, but then the teachers were like, no, you need to look at the shape, and you need to look at the color, and you need to look at the reflection and the texture. And then I saw my work getting better and better, and I was like, oh, you can learn how to do this thing. And I was really obsessed with the Ninja Turtles, like, you know, Michelangelo and Raphael, and like the sculptures and the paintings, and I'm like, I could do that one day because there's a way to get there. But I didn't understand that until 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And that's when I was like, this is something that like makes me happy. But the thing too is like, you have these inner city kids inside of this space who maybe they like art but don't like art, but you're bonding with these people. and you like are with them for 3 years doing the same thing and seeing their growth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like building this mini community of like young Black, brown artists, which was really cool. And our teachers wanted us to get to the best high school in South Florida. So they were like building the portfolio without us knowing what was happening until it's like, okay, now you're auditioning for high school.
You didn't even realize.
No.
You said you didn't draw before, so do you feel like it was like just a hidden natural talent for you, or you felt like it was something that you just could learn and mold, and like through enough practice it started to build?
It was definitely taught.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I feel like I have this like spirit to continue to learn things, which is why I go from material to material to material, because I like the challenge of learning something new and the metaphors that come from the material. But like I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm just like playing with things and seeing if it works, and then if it doesn't work, what went wrong, and let's try it again. It's kind of like methodical. Yeah, but I also, like, there's science in it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of experimentation that happens with artists. Like, it's not just making something pretty. It's like, how do you make that look like something that's there? Mm-hmm. You know, even in photography, it's the same thing. Like, you're considering and looking at things. Ooh, that's nice.
So then you're spending the 3 years in the magnet program.
Yes.
And you're just kind of going through because you're homegirls in it and you just want to be with your friends, and it's community that you're building.
Yeah.
And you're getting better at it and you're recognizing, oh, this is something that I can continue to grow in. But when does it shift for you, like, this is something that I know I want to do?
I don't know when that happened.
Did it happen?
At some point. I'm like, is that me? I don't think so. I feel like by 8th grade, I knew that I wanted to get into the best art school just because I'm competitive. So I'm like, oh, if they're getting in, I know I'm getting, you know? So I got into high school, into the best school, which is New World School of the Arts. And I applied to the other 3 schools that our teachers told us just in case. And I got into them as well. And in high school, it was the complete opposite from middle school. You had like rich kids and middle class kids and poor kids, and we're all together with like the best funding and like, you know, closets of the best golden paint and the best brushes, and you have a dark room and you have 3D printers, and this is like in early 2000s. It was like there's CDs that you can burn. Like that was something that was new, right? But I didn't think that I was gonna be an artist in high school. I was just like, this is the steps. You like this thing and it's getting you some competition. Okay, let's move on to continuing that. It wasn't like I want to be an artist. It was just like, this is what I like, and it's a great escape from living in inner city Miami.
What was your medium, or did art school function as a way of getting to try a whole bunch of different things, like forced into different mediums?
Middle school, because it was poorly funded and there was a lack of lots of resources, our teachers had to figure out how to make materials into fine art. So like we were drawing on cardboard or like painting on, you know, just regular paper that you would gesso, but whatever it is that you use, it was gonna be like fine art. It didn't matter. So
what made it fine art?
I think it was like the technical part of it.
Okay.
Making something look as closely to the image as possible. And also, they were thinking about concepts too while we were in middle school. Like, what is it about this? You know, write some words in the background, or like pick objects that like talk about the things that you're interested in. But they didn't call it conceptual art. It was more like, Kandy, this has some blue. Put the blues in there. Okay. Where like when we got to high school, because there was so much resources, we could do whatever it is that we wanted to do, but you also saw the disparity. So like you're in this place that has all these things, and then you go back home and you're just like, this is just unfair. But that pushed me to be like, okay, well, let's see how we can get to the next steps from even after high school.
And now, what do you, like, you kept going though. Now you're teaching, and it's like, what led
There
you?
was like a whole jump. So
Really?
after high school, I got a scholarship that I didn't want to get.
What do you mean you didn't want to?
I didn't want it because it would make me make a decision that I didn't want to make.
Which was
So I wanted to go to school with my friends from high school, but I didn't get into the school. So I was gonna go to an adjacent school, like a community college, and then transfer over, and then I could still be with them. But because I won this scholarship to Micah, I'm like, I cannot leave money on the table, and there's a reason why I got this scholarship.
Yeah.
And I was so upset, and my mom's like, what is wrong with you? Like, you got a scholarship, you're gonna go to that school. And I'm like, yeah, but number one, I'm not gonna be with my friends. And number two, I'm gonna be alone. I don't know anybody from this place. I don't know how Baltimore is. Like, we haven't even visited the school. And number three, I don't even know if I'm gonna like continue to do this thing. And eventually I went. Then the market crashed.
So this is what, 2009?
2000, I went 06, 07. 07, my mom lost her job. And then the housing crisis was happening in Miami. So I was like, what am I doing studying art? Like, this is pointless. I need to like do something that I know that there's some kind of like financial stability, right? Like a lot of young students.
And that's how we were taught to think
Right.
at that time too. Like this wasn't necessarily a pathway. I mean, there's the term starving artist for a reason, not the right reason, but like it used to be how we thought about things.
My mom has always been supportive though. She's just like, this is something that you love to do the thing to the best of your ability and be the best. Or my dad is like, maybe you should try architecture. Maybe you should, try to find another avenue that was still creative. So I left Micah and I went to the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. And I got a scholarship for their business program. So I did business school for a year, but I was still outside painting and drawing.
By this point, it's embedded in you. Like you went from like
painting and drawing every day.
Years, yeah.
And I'm just like, I needed it by that point. Like for my mental health, I needed to do the thing because it was part of my structure. And then I found out that they had an arts college, and I was like, oh, I'm double majoring. Business was like my backup. But the painting was something that I wanted to do. Not that I wanted to be an artist, it was just something that I needed to do for my, And then when I was in undergrad, I saw my teachers and I'm like, oh, you're off summers. And you also have a studio space where you can paint. And all you have to do is come and teach updated information so you're also learning. And you get to go to conferences to talk to other teachers about what they're learning in other places. Well, I'm gonna teach. So then by that point I knew I wanted to teach, so I needed to get my master's. And that's when I'm like, oh, I'm a professor who makes artwork.
Is that still the case to today?
No, I feel like I'm an artist
who teaches. And when was that shift?
I think by the time I graduated from grad school and I got my full-time position and I got a studio space, that's when it like shifted. Because now it's like, okay, I can do whatever the hell it is that I want to do inside this space, and I can teach the traditional way of making work.
Is that the space that you're still in now?
No, so my first job right out of grad school was Daytona State College. I was there for 2 years, and then where I'm at now is Nova Southeastern University, and I've been there for 10 years, going on my 11th year. So
you've been an artist who just happens to teach for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And so how has that been? Like, what's that process like for you, shifting from one role to the other? And do they feed each other?
Definitely feed each other. So staying current with what students are thinking while they're making their work, and like how to push them to have some kind of, message behind just this pretty thing that they want to try to do. And with each generation, there's like a different thing that they're into, where I'm like trying to get them to think bigger. It's not just like, you don't have to only go into this track, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can own thing. So getting them to do that, but also that research in that helps me with my work too.
Right.
It's like I'm also learning while I'm teaching, and they're also teaching me while I'm trying to teach them, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, one, it keeps you young, and it keeps you kind of like close to what's happening, to like the trends that pull through, and then like when you were just saying, describing the process of seeing how it all continues to change, you're seeing like this evolution of thoughts, evolution of like what's happening in the art world based on your personal experience and like seeing it through sometimes their eyes too.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of students who remind me of me not wanting to say I'm an artist. They're just like, oh, I'm taking this class because I like to draw. Or I'm taking this because I paint at home. But they're so good that I'm like, what do you mean you just paint at home?
Well, so then what does it mean? Because actually, I think about this all the time, especially with these conversations with artists that come through here. And everyone's got a different perspective on it, right? And I think oftentimes it's connected to their own concern about how they see themselves and how they feel like others are seeing them. But for you, what does it mean to be an artist versus someone who just paints?
A commitment.
Okay.
I think that it's important for an artist to grow, and the only way that that's going to happen is if you're being consistent. You're committed to this thing that you supposedly love. I just don't think that you're like gonna wake up and all of a sudden you're painting and now you're an artist. Like that's crazy. You have to put in the time and the work and to like really learn how to investigate what it is that you're doing. It's not just like I'm doing it and it's pretty. Great. You know how many rejection letters you're gonna get, and is that gonna stop you from painting because you're getting these things that you're not ready for at the moment? Like you have to like really love the thing that you do, and then money and all that other crap, it'll come later. But your focus should be on the making and being better at the making. Whatever that means. It doesn't have to be like representational or abstract or whatever. Like if there's something that you really love to do, don't let others tell you that you can't do the thing.
And was that what eventually changed it for you? Like your ability to commit to it is what then allows you to start saying, I'm now an artist who happens to teach versus the other way around?
I think it was more like the space, like the mental space to focus on making, not focus on like studying or, I don't know, family crap. It was more like, oh, I'm in this space, I can do whatever I need to make without my teachers telling me like, or questioning like, why am I using a particular color? It was more like, this feels good. I don't know why this feels good. Let's figure out why this feels good.
So it sounds really intuitive.
Yeah. It's a lot of like feeling uneasy with what it is that I'm making, which is what I love and hate about making. Right. Because once you get it, you're like, oh, you know? But when you're in it, when you're like unsure of like, I don't know what this is gonna be, but I know I like the silhouette and I like the transparency, but it also makes me feel uneasy. But like my paintings, I understand them. So like that is, in my brain, it's set. Maybe when I get older, I'm like, let's challenge that a little bit.
So you consider yourself, I think I've heard you say, you're a painter first. That's your space.
Yeah.
But right now, a lot of your work, what's behind you is textile, right? It's a different iteration of that. I mean, it's beautifully constructed as if you're painting, and I think that's how you describe it too. Actually, tell me how you describe it. What is it that you're working on?
So I consider them paintings. I'm just using yarn to paint. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't understand painting. I feel like if I learned the traditional way of making things with fiber, I wouldn't have ever gotten to that, because there's like steps and spaces and everything needs to be like matched perfectly, where my brain doesn't work like that. Like I need to make a mess and then see what happens within that mess, which is probably why I like really love printmaking.
Yeah.
Because it's like painting, especially monotype prints. Where like I just start cutting things out and then, oh, that could be a building or that could be a tree or a stop sign or a gate or whatever. Finding the thing is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time.
So then how did you jump from
Painting traditionally?
Yeah. What's your, is it oil? Is it, what do you use normally?
Okay. Watercolor, gouache, acrylic, oil, tempera, like anything.
Anything in that world has been
love painting.
So then what was the first piece that took you into the Bible world?
It happens by accident. So when I feel too comfortable with the medium, I try different ones.
Okay.
So I was feeling really comfortable with painting, so I tried photography.
By comfortable, do you mean bored?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I know how to do this thing, so why am I doing this thing? Like, I'm not learning. So, like, what's the point in doing it? And then I would switch up to a different medium. So, like, I've tried ceramics. I'm really terrible at sculpture. Like, I love photography. So I was doing a lot of different things, but it was always portraiture, and it was always black and brown bodies. Like, that is what I like. I like seeing us in spaces of dominance and power and hierarchy. Like, I love that. So with whatever medium, there's always a portrait or at least a cityscape where people would be inside that I understand because of my background. So I started making prints. And then I started cutting up my prints and making cityscapes, and then a piece of string like fell on one of my prints, and it made the power line. And I was like, oh, that's a way of getting like 3-dimensionality inside of this space without like physically drawing or painting the thing in. So I started making more of those, like little ones, and then they turned bigger, and then it was like these mono prints. And then I went to the store because I ran out of thread, and there was a small canvas, and I'm like, why is this thing here? This doesn't make sense for the canvas to be in a threaded section.
It was for you to buy.
I was like, oh, maybe I can make a little person out of this thing. So I bought some more floss, embroidery floss, and I was like trying to make an eye out of like the smallest piece of thread. I'm like, this is dumb. I need to make a bigger person. I went back to the store, got a bigger canvas, and I was like, this is not it. So I did a few of those. And then I went back to what was comfortable. So I went back to painting and printmaking. Then I got pregnant. I had started my family, and I'm like, oh, I can't do those things anymore.
Wait, what do you mean you couldn't do that?
I couldn't paint because of the solvents, and I couldn't printmake because of the chemicals.
Got it.
So I went back to doing like little watercolors and little prints, and that wasn't enough. And I'm like, maybe I should try doing this fiber stuff but bigger. And that's when I found hook rug mesh, which is the backing, which is like a rug. And at the same time, it was Trayvon Martin and Eric Gardner and these young black men being documented, like, and killed and like repeated over and over and over and over in media. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a piece that deals with that stuff. And the backing of a rug was like perfect because we're just stepping on this thing, right? So we're stepping on these people. And then that became a statement. And then I left it alone again. And I went back to what was comfortable. And then I didn't like try color with them bigger. So I applied to a residency and I got in and I was like, okay, let's like really do this. And this was the first time that I'm like away from my children, which was really difficult.
How old were they?
My daughter this was in 2021, so she was maybe like 3, and my son was 1, almost 1. And my dad was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to feel like myself again. Like, I'm feeling like just this thing that gives milk to these creatures that I made. Like, I don't feel like myself. Like, I need to be making work. I need to, like, go. And my husband's like, go, do your residency. So I went off and I did the first one in color, and I was like,
how long was the residency?
It was 2 weeks.
Okay.
And in those 2 weeks, I did 2 pieces, and I was like, this is it. This is a challenge. This talks about a lot of different things with just material. It feels like my paintings again because they're large. I just fell in love with it. And it's been like this consistent thing since 2021. That was a long story.
No. It was the best thing. I just feel like you hit so many different points there. Because like, even from the beginning, when you talk about being in school and how you selected and matriculated through school, it was all about community for you. You know? It was all about people. And even your work now, the portraits, even the way that you talk about them, I think I've seen that most of them are people that you know, that you see, that you photographed. Even the angle in which you kind of portray them is meant to kind of uplift. It's black and brown. It started in a way. I'm sure it started before this, but where you landed, coming from the Trayvon piece or that era of work, it's kind of taking all of those steps and pieces from how you felt, how you want to feel, how you want to see it portrayed, and now it's kind of like the space that you run in right now. So it is. So that's why I had a moment. I was like, I don't even know where to go because I have so many questions. So talk to me about like, how do you now select your work? And in a way, it sounds like you create. Yes, you're an artist. Yes, you sell your work. But it seems like you're not creating your work to sell it. You're creating it because it's a part of what you need to do to feel more like yourself, to release feelings, but then also it's what you want to see.
Yeah, that's good. I get questions all the time about like commissions or like, can you do one of my grandmother, or like my mom passed away from cancer and I would like to, memorialize her with a piece. And it sounds nice, but like I can't work that way. Like I've tried a commission before and you know that it's a commission. It's like not the same energy.
It doesn't feel like yours.
Within the work. I also know that I'm privileged privileged in the fact that I teach. So there's stability and compensation there and healthcare and all that stuff in my family. Even though the art part is making way more than the teaching part. But I love teaching so much. Because of the privilege, I don't need to sell the work. And when I signed with my gallery, I signed with them because they understood that the sales wasn't something that I was after. Like I'm after capturing us as people, not like we're portrayed on TV or the media or erased in certain spaces, but like us, you know? And I think a lot about Barclay Hendricks' paintings and how he captured like the cool in the 60s and 70s. And I'm like, and it's still like feeling cool now. And I kind of want to do that with the works that I'm making. So a lot of the people that I choose either become family members because, I mean, they're the easiest models because they're around. And they're not going to say no. Hey, Katie wants to do one. But I also like finding other models. Even in this residency, like I already have 3, 4 models, 5 models that I want to get back home to make because there's so many people in this world that have this swag. Like there's just something about the energy when they're walking, the body gesture, how they speak, how they just like a little shift and just like talking. Like I notice those things because I've been painting people for so long. So I want to capture that kind of freeness in the moment for them and the joy that they're feeling in certain spaces is something that I think we should see more of in the art world.
And especially in the fine art world. You were at Basel this year. Or last year. How was that?
It was cool.
Was that the first year? Is this your first year down in Miami Art Week, or have you been at different?
I would go frequently to see other people's works. I was waiting, and I'm still waiting for my solo. It'll be coming out real soon. But I was happy that at least I had a piece in the space. I was really taken aback when I had a group show with Faith Ringgold and Dinka in 2023 at the Armory. In 2023, that was like, it blew my mind. Like, I went into the space and I'm like, I'm right next to Faith! And my husband's like, what the hell is going on with you? And I'm just like, you have no idea, like, this is crazy. And that was wild. And then the following year to have a solo just myself at the Armory was crazy. Not just like the idea of having a solo show, but like seeing people come into the space and being like, we're here. You know, that was like really nice. And the position was like in a corner of the Armory. So you're like walking by and you don't see the work until you turn the corner. And then you have all these like black and brown bodies and like color and like looking down at you inside of the space. And I was like, oh my God, you know?
There's something really regal about the way you position people.
Like that makes me happy that the viewer is looking up at the subject. Or the subject is looking at the viewer.
When did you realize that was a thing? Like, does it, for you, in the process, so, okay, it sounds like it's a very intuitive process for you. Even how you got here, it was never like, I want to be this big old thing and create this. It's like, I like to do this feels good, this looks good, and it just kind of keeps going from there. So, like, but now you can see the through line.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a little bit of chicken and egg, like it's happening and you understand it, but then subconsciously you realize, or it's subconscious, and then you pull it to the forefront.
Yeah, a lot of it just like happens, and then I sit back, I'm like, oh, there is a thing that happens within the space. Taking the photograph from below is very important for me. And then teaching, like I've taught art history so many times, and like the Western view of art history, and now like the global view finally of art history. And the ways that we were depicted in the past, like in the back with the darkest lighting, or like in servitude. And for me, it's really intentional that we're seen as how I see people. And just the idea of grandeur and magic and power and the way the kings and queens were perceived back then is something that I position my subjects in. But I also like the vulnerability in the stare when they look back. I think that it's important to be confrontational, but also to show your humanness, and the vulnerability helps with that. Especially when I'm depicting men. Like I think about that all the time. Like if I take a picture of a masculine man and he's like looking really tough, I like to put like either like some flowers or like dandelions or a hint of pink, or you know, like something soft within the texture of the yarn to soften that. Because I feel like, I feel like a lot of times when black men specifically are being depicted, it's always out of fear instead of out of like trying to get to know that person. So softening that for someone going into the gallery hopefully helps them perceive us differently.
And so what does it feel like for you now to be in these spaces that are predominantly, that don't look like the people in the artwork, right?
It feels really nice because the community comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, they show up.
Because they feel seen.
Right.
Yeah.
When we went to Expo, I had a show at Expo Chicago, and that was the first time I had like a 14-foot piece with 7 women swagged out. And I didn't know that the gallery planned for them to come.
Oh, wow.
It was a crime fest. But they came in like the most swaggiest outfit I've ever seen. And all the other like museum galleries from that row just like, where are these women going? It was a party in my space of just like a sea of us. Like, oh my God. And everybody's bawling and people are coming, and like, that's how you feel welcome into a space. And my gallery does a great job of doing that. Lighting, music, timing, workshops, how to get the things out there so that people feel like they belong, which is another reason why I chose them.
Okay, so actually let's get into that a little bit more. Kind of the business side of being an artist, right? I think, how long have you had gallery representation?
Since 2023.
Okay. And what was that process like for you? Agreeing, finding someone who's the good fit?
It was weird because in 2022, the year before, for some reason, I was like, I need to get my website together and I need to redo my Instagram because I was selling my work by myself because I needed space to do those things. I needed space to make the works that I was making, like the fiber works. So I redid my Instagram and I redid my website, and I had 4 shows during Art Basel. So one of my goals was to have at least 1 exhibition during Art Basel.
Where were your shows?
There was one that was in the hood at the Cultural Center, the African Heritage Cultural Center on 22nd in Miami. There was one in Delray Beach, which is like West Palm Beach, up Florida. There was another one, what was the other one? There was Arts Warehouse. I don't remember. There was 2 more.
But they were just things
They were
that
like
you
scattered in Miami.
Okay. Because you weren't represented at this time, so how did you even find?
I wasn't, but my goal was to have at least 6 shows in the year.
Yeah.
So since graduate school, I was having 6 shows a year until it became 10 shows a year, then 12 shows a year.
And are these solo shows or just like a couple of working?
Some solo, some
exhibitions? Okay.
And by that point, like people knew me, so they were like, hey, you should put her in the show, or I've seen your work in this show, so that I stopped applying to shows. So now I'm like getting invitations to go to these things. And I'm selling on top of that by myself. So I had 3 or 4 galleries that reached out during the same time in December, wanting to meet with me to see my studio. And I'm on campus, so I'm just like, okay, bet. So we did some of that, and there was always like something that was a little bit off with each one. And then I didn't know anything about gallery representation because it wasn't something that I was looking for. So I'm calling friends. Yeah. Like, hey, what does this mean? And what does this mean? And what does this mean? And then what happens after that? So I'm like doing my research, and then ACA Gallery contacted me through an art agent who I met at an event I did not want to go to in Miami. So it's like, the things that happen that like I don't plan on. And they called me in January of 2023 saying, we saw your work at this space. We want to come see you next week. Are you available? The semester just started. I'm not available. Also, I didn't do my research on this gallery like I should have. So I was like, no, I'll let you know when I'm available. So then I told them, I looked at my schedule, you can come during this date. They flew out for the date. Wow. So they got here at 9 o'clock and they left at 9 p.m. And when they got here, we had breakfast. I took them to the nice exhibition that was still up by then.
You didn't take them to the...
And then I took them to the hood. And I'm like, let's see how these people behave inside of these spaces, because that was another thing. Yeah. And I'm like, and by that point I did my research. So they represented Faith Ringgold for 35 years. And she was still alive at the time. And I'm like, there's a reason why she's still there. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yes.
Wow.
They also represented Romare Bearden.
Yeah.
And Jacob Lawrence. And all these like
heavy hitters.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I doing in this space? So like the imposter syndrome was heavy.
Well, so as you were telling the story, you're like, no, I'm not available. I was like, that's a very boss move, Katie. But in a way, it's also a little bit of naivete too. You're like, I didn't have the bandwidth. I don't know, but it allowed you to kind of.
They were like, girl, what? Like after we talked about it, they were just like, I'm like, I didn't know who you guys were, and I didn't have time for this. I have 2 kids. I'm teaching 4 classes. Like I'm trying to do the studio stuff and be the wife and do the whole thing. Like I wasn't worried about that stuff. So then they came. I showed them. They were fantastic inside of that space. Took them to a Jamaican spot to see, what's up, and they were great. And I'm very frank, so we talked about the business part of it too, because I know that that's something that a lot of artists shy from because they feel uncomfortable. And it's not that I felt comfortable, it's just like, I want to know. So like, what's the cut? How does the contract work? Do you have a contract? They're like, you know, we're one of the oldest galleries in New York. They were funded in 1932, and they're still going. Like, we haven't worked with contracts with other artists in the past. And I'm like, well, I don't know y'all, and it's great that you have these other artists and that you're so well known and that you're a blue chip gallery, but I need a contract. And they were like, okay. So contract talk was there, the cut talk was there, first meeting. And I talked about like the knots. Like I'm a business person, so I understand sales are important for you guys to do your thing, but it's also important for me, for people like me to collect. So like who's collecting the work, and what if I don't like something and I don't want that person to own it? Is this something that you do? So we had those kinds of conversations, eating, you know.
How was that for you?
Oxtail.
How was that for you?
It was awkward for me as an artist because I don't know if that's something that you're supposed to do, but I knew that those were questions that I needed answered before we even moved towards a contract.
Again, very intuitive. It's like you even everything that you were saying to me, I keep seeing like the retrospective steps that kind of led you here. Right? And it's amazing. Like, I think there's a part of you as an educator that showed up in that room. There's a part of you that was like, that when you were talking about taking this group to both the refined spot and the spot that was a little grittier, you know, it reminded me of, as well as when you were talking about the middle school that you went to versus the high school that you went to, and you having to navigate all of these different cross sections of life and people and culture, and then now you're still doing it in a way that still feels very true to you.
I feel like that's the immigrant story too.
Yeah.
It's like you have your ancestors through your blood, so like they had to figure out how to navigate certain things to be able to survive, and it's all in there. It comes out when it needs to, when you don't even know that it's there.
That's true. Sounds like your mama. What's your mama's name?
Nancy.
Sounds like Nancy when she was like, I'm taking my kids and I'm raising my kids like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the mother in you too. I think there's something about like, you didn't have time to be concerned about how they perceived you and what like the
I also didn't
was.
know. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
And even like after we had the meeting and everything seemed great, I still called my friends.
Right.
I was like, hey, can you go by the gallery and let me know how you're welcomed into the space? Like I was still like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
So was that first contract for like a year or?
So it took, they came in January and it took all the way to the end of May to sign it.
Okay,
Because
for you to sign it.
Yeah, because I was like, we were going back and forth because I needed to understand, like, I don't know what, you know, Title I, A, B means. Can you explain this? Eventually we like sat down and had a Zoom call where we went through each line so I understood what I was signing. And I called friends too to be like, hey, are you exclusively represented? What does that mean? And what's the benefits and what's not? You know, what are the cons of being exclusively represented? Because people don't do that anymore. You usually have like multiple galleries on the West Coast, East Coast, globally, so that your work can spread. But then you're the manager of all these things. Like you have to have your documentation so you know the pricing here, you know the pricing here, and are you like dealing with the admin stuff of all these different places? I don't have time for that. I'm like, one is good enough.
Right.
So exclusivity was just good for me. That doesn't mean that it's good for everyone else. And I understood that. And I had people like, don't do it. And I'm like, yeah, but Faith Wriggles in the thing. Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Do whatever you think is right. And I'm like, call teachers and try to figure things out. But so it took from January to May to sign the contract. And then they wanted 5 years. But I was just like, I don't know, y'all. We're still dating. Let's do 3. Is 3 okay? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do 3. And I'm like, okay. So 3 years is now up.
Wow.
And I just signed again.
Okay.
So this will be another 5 years.
So do you feel like the way that you, like looking back, Kandy 3 years ago, do you feel like you navigated that process the way that you should have?
Things happen for a reason. Yeah. I was very weary and like trepidatious about doing it because I know that it's a business. But I feel like business school prepared me for that, and my husband, who also has a master's in business. So like, I would run things by him, and he would ask questions that I didn't even consider. So he's like, well, maybe you should like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's something that should have been talked about. Let me ask them. But I don't know. I didn't think I would be in this position.
With what position is that?
Like being represented, showing at these art fairs, thinking about globally, like setting goals. You know, saying no to certain opportunities, which is really hard for me to do. But I really don't have the bandwidth for every yes to, which I feel like it's a transition for artists as well. Like I've said yes to so many things. Like there's so many exhibitions of so many, I don't know, talks, podcasts, things that take up time. Like my time has become more important than the financial part now.
Absolutely.
And like I'm like, it's slowly like turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some of those goals? Like now, so Kandy 3 years ago did see yourself in this position. Now where does Kandy see, or what do you want for yourself and for your work, for your art?
I want my art to continue to be collected in museums. I think that museum acquisitions are really important because the community can come and see the work. I think finding collectors that are open to lending the work to different spaces is also really important for me. I had my first international solo in 2024 in Paris, and I would want more of those. Maybe in London is something I really want to go to Africa, like Cape Town, to have a show there, or Johannesburg. Like I want to show my work in those spaces too. It's also an opportunity for me to travel.
Absolutely.
And for my kids to go to these spaces. I'm thinking about how they can learn how to move through certain spaces too. I want to be at the Whitney at some point and at MoMA at some point, like not just as a 1%, but as a many. I think is important. My friends are slowly getting their stuff inside of those spaces, so I'm like, I know that I'm part of this grouping. It's just the when, but I know that it will happen.
Oh yeah, it's on the cusp.
Yeah, I feel like the vibrations happening,
right?
Which is also really scary.
Why?
Because I like control, and I like to know when, how, when. Like when, how, when. Yeah. So not knowing certain things makes me nervous.
But there is a knowing. You do know that energy.
I feel that it's gonna be something that I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like the legacy and the career of my stuff. Like I know that it's there. I want books.
What do you mean books? Like photography books of your work?
No, like writing books.
Do you write?
I don't, but I have an idea for a book.
Okay.
I want to create a book that's textural for kids that have autism. So I have a goddaughter who's autistic, and it's really about texture and sound. And I can see like the fiber works really relating and teaching about it through that. It's just like, what words am I gonna do? How are they gonna look? Is it gonna be something that they can like pull off like a pop-up and like literally feel? You know, like those scratch and sniff books,
right? Yeah.
But with texture.
Yeah.
So that's something that's also in my brain as a goal at some point.
I mean, I'm just even thinking about your time spent here. You hold a lot in your brain. And like, even the way that you navigate, I think you navigate through your workflow in the most organized ADHD way possible. It's like you're working on so many different types. Like, okay, we've got your paintings, we've got your fiber painting, we've got your mono prints with like these experimentational, like, you know, approaches to it. But then your day is still very organized. It's like, this is the morning, this is the afternoon, and this is my nighttime part of it. So like your mind is definitely very like
active,
but also in an organized way. Organized chaos.
Yes, that is very true. Like I need some kind of structure to be able to handle the chaos.
Yeah.
Like this will be done today. I don't want to see this again until I have to paint it. Like I'm so over feathers.
What are you painting on that?
I have to paint the background. I'm thinking of like a gold color for the background, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll be yellow, so that the yellow pop, I don't know what color yet.
So do you cut it from that, or you're gonna paint?
No, I paint the back, yeah.
Okay.
So then when I paint it on, so I have a sheet of paper behind, it's called Yupo paper, and then I paint it so that the paint goes through the holes, and then when I remove it, it's a aftermath of what was there, so it becomes a silhouette. But it also talks about pointillism. It also talks about grading from the city.
Sorry, what's pointillism?
It's making artwork from points.
Okay.
So like little dots. Like my brain is going somewhere else. And it also talks about like the outlining of what a body would look like when it has passed. So something that was present, being remembered only for that time in their life.
Which is what a photograph kind of encapsulates.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like all these things that come from just the aftermath of all the work.
That's deep.
Mm.
Look at these concepts. So when I'm thinking about, I don't know where to go, the legacy part.
Yes.
You talked about that a few minutes ago, wanting to be in museums, wanting community to be able to come out and see the work. What do you also want, like, and creating these books, like what do you want the legacy of your art to kind of, who is it for?
I think it's for the next group of artists and people on this planet. Like I just want us to view us as this powerhouse humanity, like just being human, you know? There's so many years of being suppressed and made to think that you're lesser than still today. So my words are like preserving the history of what we really are.
And I think there's something interesting about, again, you're in it, but in the world of fine art, where subject matter doesn't always look like you, like us. But yeah, it being the thing that art is the thing that is preserved for generations and generations to come. And now you're in space to actually be able to write what that history will be visually. That's dope. Yeah. So you're here, you're at McColl Center.
Yes.
We had you is it 4 weeks?
Yeah, this is my last week.
Yeah.
Already.
Do you feel like what you came in mind with and what you're leaving with were on track, or?
I wanted to come in with some kind of control.
I think you did that.
So I knew I wanted one of the fiberworks.
Okay.
Because I know how long it'll take me to do that. But I also knew that I wanted to paint because I haven't painted in so long, even though these are paintings, but like the physical, actual material paint. And I knew I wanted to experiment because you guys have that long arm, which I haven't tried, which I will this week because this will be done. But I didn't think I was going to come to printmake at all. But apparently, I'm right next to the printmaking studio and it's like tempting. Can you come here?
Yeah.
So these, I don't know what will happen to these, but it also like made me think of what would a wall look like if it was a quilted city out of these prints on fiber. and then like my piece is suspended in front of that space that I make. So that's something in my head, and I'm like, where am I gonna do this when I leave here?
You just come back.
Like, how am I gonna put this thing together?
We got a condo for you. Just
You
hop
know?
on back. Oh my gosh. Bring the kids.
Like, come on, field trip time.
2-hour flight. It's short.
It is. It's an hour and a half.
Oh.
Even better.
Yeah.
So I have a solo show coming up at ACA in September during the same time as Armory, and a group show at the Armory too. And I kind of want to make that space. So we'll see what happens.
Kind of an immersive world.
Yeah, like I've done that before with mirror tint. So it's kind of like a reflective surface. It's what you use to wrap your car in, like the tints for the window. But when you paint on it, you can see the paint, but also see yourself looking at it. So I had pieces where it was like one large mirror tint on the wall with a huge cityscape, and then my plexiglass paintings like coming off the wall so that people could walk behind the people and they're part of the city. And I'm trying to recreate that with fabric, apparently, which I didn't know I was gonna do or think of when I got here. But now I'm like, how do I make this transparency mirror thing with fabric?
Well, I love that you're like really open. I mean, it sounds like your entire practice is experimentation.
All the time.
Yeah. But I think there's something to be said about that, right? And I can understand even it being harder to be open to it when you become so well known for one thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you didn't start with fiber painting.
No, but that's what I'm known for.
Right. And
then people are like, oh, you can paint, and you can stain glass, and you can print make, and I'm like, I did all that before I even got to this thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what we do. Like, we're constantly playing with things and hoping that we're, I don't know, expressing what we need to express with these different materials. I just know that fiber is not my end material because there's so many other things I want to play with. Like encaustic.
Oh gosh. So you really gotta come back. And Melissa will be happy to pull you into that world. Yeah. Have you tried that?
I have.
Oh, okay.
And I really love the texture and transparency.
And maybe playing with fire a little bit.
I'm just like, how do you get bored?
Yeah.
How do you not know what to do?
I mean, but again, I think it's amazing that you're really open to it. And I think there's that part of being an artist, or that part of forcing yourself into like this uncomfortable zone and always like stretching to see like what that next thing will be.
I think one thing that like really unlocked that was a graduate class that I had called Failure, where the teacher is like, this class is focused on making failure artwork. And I was like, I don't even understand what this means. And we had like a whole textbook, reading through these artists who failed. And I'm like, why am I taking this class? Like, this is such a waste of my time. But then she gave us a first assignment, which was make a failure piece. And it was so hard for me to like, I know what kind of piece I'm gonna make. And then I made the piece and I'm like, but is this a failure? Because somebody might like this experiment. And I'll put that on the side. And then I tried it again. And I'm like trying to make a failed piece. And then you have to present it to your teacher and be like, this is a failed piece because, and it's not just you, it's everybody else that's in the graduate program. So we're all like losing our minds trying to make a piece that you would consider to be a failure. And that unlocked a lot of things for me where I'm just like, just try it and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, do something else or cut it up. Or save it and come back to it at another time, and maybe it'll make sense. But like that class really helped.
That sounds really freeing.
Yeah. I was like, this teacher's crazy. But she did something there.
So then that just makes me think too, because I feel like every person that's come through here has had a story about a teacher or some mentor, or someone that like pushed them in this direction to be an artist, to like stay on a path that might not have been one that felt available for them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at your mug. You see what it says?
Yeah.
Be fearless. And so I'm wondering, like, how in general, you just said how it ties into you as an artist, but I imagine it ties into who you are as a teacher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm constantly pushing them and drive them crazy. Mm-hmm. They also like, these kids that are coming up, they want the answers. Mm-hmm. They don't even want to try. And I'm not the person to give you the answers. So they'll be like, well, I said, that's not the right color. And they're like, well, how do I get to that right color? I said, figure it out. You know, mix a few things. And if I see them struggling, then I'll come up and say, hey, that needs, you know, Naples yellow or ultramarine blue to get to the color. But I want them to understand where they go wrong, because once you understand where you go wrong, then you know how to fix the next thing. You can't get to the next thing without fixing the first thing that's wrong, which drives them crazy. But there's just like, you have to find your own solution too. Like, I don't have all the answers to your problems. Maybe my way of solving something isn't your way of solving the thing. So I need you to find your way. If you want to try it through fiber, great. If you want to try it through sculpture, great. If you want to find it through photography, fantastic. But you have to know what it is that you're interested in, and you won't know until you try the thing.
And it sounds like that's what you tell yourself when you're in it too.
Yeah, to like get out of this mess. Like, what am I doing here? I don't know. We'll just continue and see if that works. And if it doesn't, at least for the next one, I'll say, I don't like how that looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even this was a happy accident.
Yeah, even this, I'm just like, there's certain things that are like wrong for me.
Yeah.
But Nostalgia came in and she said, you are not a computer. And I said, you're right. It's supposed to feel like a hand. You know, like I did it with my hand.
Right.
Yes. So yes, it's not perfect. And that's okay.
Because that's the art.
Right.
All right. That's it.
Thank you.
Yay.